here with the Larry Penn Legacy Project, and we're here talking to Larry's old pal and music partner off and on, Mark Dvorak, Chicago's troubadour. Uh, did shows with Larry, recorded on some albums with him, and a long history together. Mark, can you just tell us a little bit about how you met Larry and what your initial impressions of him were?
My introduction to Larry Penn was through a great singer, Claudia Schmidt, who now lives out on the East Coast. And Claudia recorded Larry's probably most well-known song, "I'm a Little Cookie," on one of her records. And I thought it was really a neat song. At that time, I was performing a lot for school groups and children at libraries, so I added that to my repertoire. And Claudia's rendition of it was very delicate and pretty. And then Larry was scheduled to appear in Chicago on a radio program on WBEZ, the Flea Market, hosted by Art Theme. And so I put that down on the calendar. I want to check this guy out and see what he sounds like. And then I heard that thumping guitar and that gravelly voice, and immediately I thought, this ain't Claudia Schmidt, It was, and I thought he just sounded so authentic to me, and I loved his simple playing and musical playing. It reminded me a little bit of Mississippi John Hurt, who has been an inspiration to just about anybody who's picked up a guitar. And when I came time to make my first record, it came out only as a cassette tape, but I was looking for some original material. And in the pages of Sing Out magazine, there was a column called The Folk Process, and Larry had sent in the lyrics to a new song based on an old song, "The Banks of the Ohio." And the original, of course, is a murder ballad, but Larry composed verses that describe the murder of the steel industry, and I was so taken with its simplicity and clarity, and so we put it on the record, and I wrote Larry a letter and stating my intentions about, and at that time I thought the royalty rate was 4 cents per copy. He wrote me back. He said it's actually 6, but I'd be lucky to get 4, and then I booked him at the Old Town School. We had a little coffee house series. He came down, and we went out to dinner. We had Chinese food, and I remember just before the show, we couldn't find Larry, and he was upstairs. The bathroom toilet had gotten clogged, and so he came down wiping his hands, and he said, "I fixed it." And that's where our long friendship began.
Oh, that's great, man. And did you guys do any traveling together? Did you do many shows together? I'm sure you wound up at festivals together, like Shawano and some of that
Yep,
stuff.
yep. We were together at Shawano and Fox Valley, and we played in Madison a number of times, and the coffee house in Milwaukee. The arrangement was I would open for him with a short set, and then I'd sit next to him on stage and kind of back him up. And I always waited for him to signal me and say, "Hey, Mark, why don't you do one?" I'm still waiting. No, but we had fun together, and being playing on the side of Larry gave me a chance to sort of take apart some of his melodies and chord progressions and kind of study them in depth. And by the end of our run, it was sounding very musical, and I was enough of a harmony singer to sort of add that to the choruses, and we were pretty happy with it. I was very happy with it, and Larry didn't shake his head or anything, so I think he was pretty happy with it.
Yeah,
He kept calling me back, so
yeah,
that was the
yeah. He had
proof.
good taste, and he could be discriminating, and that was his approval.
Yeah, and as we have done, is it 11 or 13 Larry Penn memorial concerts?
Yeah, 11. This will be the
This
11th.
is the 11th, and I've been a part of perhaps 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And one of the stories that keeps coming through is how Larry, you're not going to get a compliment from him. And,
Totally.
and his dear wife Pat, she was always the good cop, you know. and but they said one of the bedrooms in their home, uh, uh, they called it, "That's Mark's room now." And I said, I needed nothing else. I need nothing else. And I spent a lot of time with Pat and Larry, and they became very, very dear to me. And
yeah, they were sweethearts.
Sweethearts is the word. And Larry, with his gruff exterior, he was nothing but chocolate pudding on the inside.
He was a teddy bear.
He had a tender heart, and you know, as I look back, you know, I feel happy that he and I and Pat were able to connect really on a family level, and so it's a very great memory.
Oh, that's awesome, Mark. And you contributed so much playing on his albums and you know, gracefully complimenting him when you played together, and it's a relationship to be valued for.
That's right, and
for a long time.
And Larry's songs were very melodic. That's one of the attractions I had to it, and his lyrics were storytelling, great imagery, you know, and a lot of his songs were about, you know, little issues that mattered only to him, and I think sometimes he couldn't understand why I was less interested in the rivets on a 1910 steam engine, but you know, but that was his world, and when I think about the craftsmanship that went into his songwriting, well, he was a woodworker too, and he made, for years and years, he made toys, and they were. And I used to buy them every year.
I got his train set right up there.
I bought train sets for my nephews every year, a new car, and but his work was exacting and precise and beautiful, just like his songwriting. And so, you know, I think one of those art disciplines always nourishes the other, and that's kind of how he did everything, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I feel very blessed to have had the time together, and what you said about the compliments, it seemed as if I'd sat around his table on a Friday night, drinking and swapping songs into the wee hours of the morning for what seemed like the better part of 2 decades. Never got a compliment once. Anytime we shared new songs, and then all of a sudden one day, let's make an album together. And I like that song you wrote about Steam Train Maury, and I like that song you wrote about the walking stick. And I thought, you know, being in his shadow, you know, that like my jaw was hanging down to get a compliment from him. But one last thing I'll ask you in relationship to the Larry Penn mystique. Pete Seeger said that Larry's songs were as good as anything Woody ever wrote. What do you think about it? What kind of mojo or magic did he have that? I've always referred to his music as having an elegant simplicity, and you remember that from Oh Susanna right on down the line. It's sometimes the simplest little things, but yet there was also something sophisticated in what he did too. And you know, it's really kind of a magic brew. You know, what do you think was you know, what was it about him that made his song so memorable? I mean, doggone it, how many times did you leave his house humming a song that he had just written? You know, it's that kind of thing that all of us songwriters are still reaching for.
Well, I think, you know, I kind of mentioned it earlier that the evidence of devotion to craft is just very apparent in his work, both in his guitar playing. And his guitar playing was, he always claimed he didn't know anything about music, and he just plays the guitar. And some of his voicings were a little different than the usual. But you go back to old field recordings of mountain musicians and blues musicians, and there's all kinds of idiosyncrasies
Yeah.
in their arrangement. And if Larry studied that stuff and picked up on it, I'm not sure that he did to a great deal. I know he loved listening to Lead Belly and Mississippi John Hurt, but I think the person that he was and the way he came up, he didn't start playing the guitar till he was, I don't know, 30 or something.
Yeah, mid-30s.
And I think he had a good ear.
Yeah.
You know, he played what he heard, and I think that's the beginning of an authentic voice. Is you play what you hear. You don't play what other guys are playing. You don't play what you think is correct. You play what you hear. And I think he was just so rock solid on that, and that he wasn't going to move off of the way he did things, and that was attractive to me. I felt like I was getting a chance to hang around with a guy that had been somewhere.
Yeah, most definitely. He had the bona fides, and you know, working class all the way through, but just really beautiful in so many ways. Thanks for sharing some thoughts with us. We appreciate it, and look forward to sharing this with those who are just discovering Larry, and those who knew and loved him. So thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Rev.